Heartwarming encounter. Hungry girl discovers incredible way to save millionaire CEO's business. Clara's heart raced as she stepped into the diner, the smell of fried food clinging to her like hope itself. The diner was dim, a shadow of its former self, but it still had the charm that had once drawn families together. Today, it was more than just food for Clara. It was a chance for change. She scanned the room, and her eyes landed on Jack, a man who once towered in wealth and now stood hunched, rummaging through leftovers like a lost soul. Desperation etched on his face, it mirrored everything she felt in her own life. "Do you need help?" she asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil swirling within her. Clara didn't have much to offer, but she had an abundance of empathy. Jack looked up, surprise mingled with embarrassment painted across his once commanding features. He opened his mouth to protest but found no words. "Listen," she continued, "we both know this diner can't keep going like this. It's not just about the food, it's about the love that built it." For a moment, time froze. Jack's pride was caught between the remnants of his past and a future that seemed bleak. "And what's your plan?" he challenged, but there was a flicker of hope behind his eyes. "How about a farm-to-table venture?" she proposed, her heart racing with each syllable. "We can connect with local farmers, use fresh ingredients. The community is starving for good food and reviving that spirit." She could see the diner bustling with life, laughter echoing off the walls, families gathering for home-cooked meals. Jack hesitated, the shadows in his eyes mixing with a glint of possibility. "I didn't build this on fresh vegetables," he muttered, but Clara pressed on. This was the spark they needed. Days turned into nights as they worked side by side. They faced prejudice from those who couldn't look past Jack's failure, his past wealth haunting him like a ghost. Clara, too, felt the weight of her status. The town's perceptions of her single motherhood wove a tight grip around her, filled with self-doubt. But they pushed through the tension, learning to find common ground amidst their differences. Just as hope began to feel tangible, word spread of the upcoming local food festival. Clara saw it as an opportunity to showcase their hard work and ideas. Jack, however, was wrestling with the chains of his past, the shame of his status wrapping itself around him. Clara fought to hold on to her vision, knowing their partnership could thrive if only the community could see it too. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The night of the festival arrived, the air thick with excitement and apprehension. Clara stood in front of the crowd, clutching her heart as she watched Jack take the stage alongside her. The fireworks of emotions crackled in the air, mingling with anxious murmurs from the audience. Their fate rested on the acceptance of their new venture, but so much more rested on their souls. "Can I embrace this?" Jack whispered to himself, revealing cracks in his facade. Clara caught his eye, and in that moment, she saw him for the first time vulnerable yet determined. Suddenly, it didn't feel like just a fight for the diner anymore. It was a battle of identities, for Clara and Jack, and for a community desperate for unity. But would they find the strength to stand amidst the storms of judgment and prejudice? The night was charged with tension, and the answer hung as precariously as the stars above them. The spotlight lit Jack's face, and Clara felt a rush of warmth for him. As he cleared his throat, she held her breath. She could almost hear the heartbeat of the crowd, every pulse reverberated with anticipation. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice a shadow of the confidence it once carried. "I stand here before you feeling different. Different because I've had to learn humility in the face of failure." Clara's heart sank as she caught whispers in the crowd. "What's he doing? And he doesn't belong up there." Their faces reflected skepticism, and Jack's gaze shifted, unable to bear the weight of their doubt. She felt an urge to reach out to him, to pull him back from the edge of his spiraling thoughts. "It's not just about me tonight," he forged on, standing a little taller. "Together with Clara, we're here to share something new. A path for our diner that embraces our community." More whispers followed, and the weight of his words hung like fog. Would anyone dare to believe him? Clara stepped forward, her voice rising above the murmurs. "We're inviting local farmers to be part of something bigger." She felt her own nervousness blend with the fervor of hope. Good food, made with love. It's not just about serving meals, it's about bringing our town together one plate at a time. A few heads nodded, and her heart lifted slightly. Perhaps there was still a chance. Jack glanced her way, and she saw a flicker of encouragement in his eyes. They were in this together, propelled by a vision that could unify, but only if the community let it. Suddenly, a voice called out from the back of the crowd. "Why should we trust you after everything that has happened?" A wave of tensions erupted as people murmured in agreement. Clara felt a knot form in her stomach. She remembered how it felt to be judged, the sting of isolation burrowing into her heart. "Because we're not asking for blind faith," she called back, her voice shaking yet passionate. "We both know despair. We've both fought our battles. But in each other, we're finding a way to rise, together." The air shifted slightly, as if hope began to weave into folds of doubt. Jack's eyes locked onto hers, determination flashing anew. "We want to earn your trust. We want to show you that change is possible," he added, his voice now steadier. "A chance to rebuild not just the diner, but our community." The crowd hesitated, the noise diminishing as vulnerability transformed into curiosity. Clara held her breath, waiting for someone to break the spell. She could see the realization dawning on some faces: old norms could be challenged, a new story could unfold if only they gave it a chance. Then a hand shot up from the front. It was Hazel, the local florist, known for her sharp wit and even sharper opinions. "What would you bring to the menu that's different?" she asked, a spark of challenge lighting her eyes. Clara felt the pressure return, but Jack answered quickly. "Fresh ingredients. We're talking about locally sourced produce and the kind of meals you'd want to gather around with family. Real food that tells a story." Nods transformed into murmurs of approval, and Clara's heart swelled. This was the moment they could finally lift the veil of doubt. But would the community rally behind them, or would old scars continue to shape their future? As Clara and Jack shared ideas, laughing lightly and fostering enthusiasm, hope hung in the air. Yet in the back of her mind, a persistent question loomed. What if their effort wasn't enough? Suddenly, the lights flickered. The crowd turned toward the sound of commotion near the stage entrance. A figure stumbled forward, none other than Clara's estranged mother, arms crossed and fuming. "What on earth are you doing here, Clara?" The tension thickened. Clara's heart raced as she braced for her mother's judgment. Would she stand by her side, or was this the end of their newfound journey? Clara's breath caught in her throat. The air felt heavy, the warmth of hope quickly cooling into a chill of fear. Her mother's voice sliced through the moment, displacing the fragile trust they'd begun to build. She could feel the crowd's attention shift, the energy buzzing with mixed curiosity and apprehension. What would her mother say next? Jack instinctively stepped beside her, a silent show of solidarity. Clara sensed his frustration, the way his jaw tightened. Yet, her heart was wrestling with something deeper. How would she face this confrontation? "Mom, she began, trying to find the words through the fog of anxiety. Her mother interrupted, her tone sharp as glass. "You think after everything, you can just step back into our town like this? After what your father did?" A hush fell over the crowd, eyes widening. They were not just watching a daughter and her mother but witnessing a fracture in a complicated family. Clara could feel the lingering weight of her father's mistakes, how they had not only scarred her but transformed her mother into someone perpetually on edge, always ready to shield herself from pain. "I'm not here to erase the past," Clara replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "I'm trying to make something good, for the diner, for all of us." A murmur spread among the audience. A ripple of empathy began to push against the initial tension her mother projected. Good doesn't come from failure, Clara. You'll just hurt yourself again, and for what? A few nice plates of food? The skepticism in her voice cut deeper than Clara had expected. Mom, Clara urged, focusing her gaze. This isn't just about the food. It's about the community. It's about starting fresh with what we have, using our mistakes to shape something better. Jack took a breath, willing the crowd to understand, to feel the fire of Clara's conviction. There's power in having come this far, in opening our hearts again, he added, his voice embracing the energy of the moment. The crowd began to shift, glimmers of understanding began to pop like bubbles among the skeptics. Clara's mother looked around, her facade cracking as she noticed the concern on the faces of the townsfolk. These weren't just strangers, they were neighbors, friends, and families who had seen the struggle and were yearning for connection. What if we fail? Her mother finally said, quieter now, doubt wrestling with a flicker of hope. Clara reached for that uncertain flicker, pulling it closer. Then we try again. That's what we do. We learn, we grow, we uplift each other. Tension hung in the air, but for the first time, Clara fancied she could see the walls between her and her mother starting to dissipate, if only slightly. The murmurs had shifted toward a chorus of voices supporting their vision, voices that recognized the bravery it took to rebuild. Look at us, Clara continued. This is a chance to change not just ourselves but how we come together. Her mother's gaze softened, the slightest crack in her armor revealed. But then, without warning, she turned on her heel. I won't stand by you while you play with fire, Clara, she called over her shoulder, her tone a mix of frustration and worry. I can't watch you get hurt again. The crowd held its breath as her mother walked away, leaving Clara with a lump in her throat. Jack put a firm hand on her shoulder, grounding her. You did well, he whispered, but Clara couldn't shake the feeling. The doubt, the lingering fear that maybe her mother was right. As the crowd began to disperse, some rallying around Jack and Clara, the weight of the moment settled in Clara's chest. She had stepped into a battle not just for the diner, but for her relationship with her mother. As the last glow of daylight began to fade, Clara wondered, could she truly bring back the warmth of family while also igniting hope in their community? The flickering lights above cast shadows, framing the stage they stood upon. And deep down, Clara grappled with a new question: was she ready to face the next fight, both in the diner and with her heart? Clara stood alone for a moment, her heart still racing. Jack's presence lingered like a warm blanket, but the cold reality of her mother's rejection gnawed at her insides. With the crowd dispersing slowly, whispers floated around her, some supportive, others doubtful. I just don't get it, a woman muttered to her friend. Why come back here after everything? Does she really expect us to just forget? Clara's stomach turned at their words. She felt exposed, scrutinized. The newfound courage she had clutched so tightly now felt like an anchor pulling her down. Let us go, Jack said gently, breaking her thoughts. You've done enough for today. We can work on our plan tomorrow. Clara nodded, forcing a smile but feeling anything but hopeful. They walked towards the diner, each step heavy with uncertainty. The quaint structure loomed in the twilight, its flickering neon lights casting playful shadows on the sidewalk. This place held so many memories, both beautiful and broken. As they entered, the familiar scent of aged wood from the counter welcomed them, mixed with the sweet aroma of cinnamon still clinging to the air from earlier baking. The diner looked worn, but in that weariness, Clara saw potential. She started to believe it could be a refuge for others just as it had been for her in the past. Let me help you, Jack said, breaking the silence. We can turn this around, Clara. Together. His confidence wrapped around her like a lifeline, giving her a moment to breathe. You think so? She asked, glancing up at him. Absolutely, he replied. You have a vision. I believe in it. I believe in you. Clara felt warmth spreading through her chest. Maybe she could rebuild. Maybe she could create something lasting. They started to brainstorm ideas, flipping through old menus and jotting down notes. Jack shared recipes he had mastered in culinary school, and Clara offered her family's favorites, hidden gems from her childhood. The exchange felt like a dance. Their ideas bounced off each other, each suggestion igniting new sparks of inspiration. As they worked, Clara's phone buzzed. She picked it up, revealing a message from her mother. "Are we really going to keep pretending everything's fine? Can't you see it's dangerous?" Her heart sank again, a fresh wave of hurt crashing over her. "She's not ready," Clara whispered, the text feeling like a dagger. Jack noticed and placed his hand over hers. "You can't change how she feels right now, and that's okay. What matters is that you're not giving up. You're not your father, Clara. You've got a chance to change everything." "I hope she'll come to see that," Clara mused, wishing for the impossible to bridge that gap between them. Just then, the bell over the door jingled, and Clara looked up to see a new face stepping into the diner. A man in a crisp suit, his eyes scanning the room. His presence felt out of place but somehow magnetic. He walked with purpose, and Clara couldn't shake off the strange sense of destiny that hung in the air. "Can I help you?" Clara called out, her voice steadier than she felt. The man turned, surprise lighting up his striking features. "I heard this was the best diner in town. I think I need a bit of that." Jack and Clara exchanged looks, curiosity piquing. What was this guy really after? "I'm Clara," she introduced herself, feeling a mix of eagerness and apprehension. "Welcome to our little piece of heaven. What if I told you I was looking for something more than just a meal?" He responded, a glimmer of intrigue in his eyes. Clara's heart raced, the air buzzing with sudden potential. What was he really searching for? "Why don't we start with dinner?" Clara replied, her curiosity flaring bright. Perhaps this meeting would change everything. As the man settled into a booth, Jack leaned closer, whispering, "What if he's the chance you've been waiting for?" Clara had faced many battles, but this one felt different. Was she really ready for whatever this new encounter might bring? She took a deep breath, feeling exhilaration mix with fear. "Here we go," she thought, stepping forward into the unknown. Clara took a deep breath and approached the man in the booth, her heart fluttering like a butterfly caught in a storm. "I'm Clara," she said, her voice carrying a mix of excitement and nervousness. "What brings you here tonight?" His gaze was penetrating but friendly, and Clara found herself captivated by the way he leaned forward, engaging. "I'm David," he replied, a small smile breaking the formality of his crisp attire. "I travel a lot for work, and I always seek out locals' favorites. They have a soul that the big chain restaurants lack." Clara nodded, feeling a surge of pride for her diner. "This place has been my family's for a long time." She hesitated, searching for the right words. "It's a piece of home, really." David's eyes twinkled. "A piece of home? That's a strong sentiment." Jack, standing a few paces behind, caught Clara's eye and gave her an encouraging nod. She felt bolstered by his presence, and another idea sparked in her mind. "Are you hungry? I can whip up something special for you. Our cinnamon rolls are pretty famous." "I could definitely use a bit of that," David replied, his smile widening. As Clara stepped towards the kitchen, she stole a quick glance at Jack. He mouthed, "Go for it." Clara's adrenaline surged. A small part of her couldn't shake off the idea that maybe David wasn't just looking for a meal, he was searching for something deeper, a connection he hadn't yet found. In the kitchen, she quickly prepared the rolls, letting the familiar motions soothe her nerves. The comforting scent enveloped her, mingling with the remnants of cinnamon from earlier. She could almost feel the warmth radiating from her mother's smile when they used to bake together. The rolls were done in a flash. She plated them with care, drizzling a buttery glaze over the top. Clara couldn't help but smile to herself, feeling the joy of creating something that brought people together. A small piece of herself. When Clara returned to the booth, she presented the cinnamon rolls like a prize. "Here you go. A little taste of home," she announced, beaming. David took a bite and closed his eyes. "Wow," he murmured, savoring the warmth that melted in his mouth. "This is incredible." Clara's heart swelled at his reaction. "Thanks. I've always believed that food carries memories and emotions. It brings people closer." She hesitated, her tone shifting slightly. "Do you feel that too? Or is that just me?" David looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "No, it's not just you," he said, wiping a crumb from his lips. "In my line of work, I often find that what brings teams together isn't just the product we're selling, but the relationships we build over meals." Clara felt a connection forming, an electric pulse between them, as they shared ideas about life, dreams, and the burdens they each carried. Their conversation flowed smoothly, each anecdote revealing deeper layers of vulnerability. In that small booth, Clara found herself slowly unfurling. "I shouldn't be sharing so much," she ultimately admitted, a blush creeping to her cheeks. "Sometimes, that's exactly what we need," David replied softly. "Taking risks can lead to unexpected opportunities." Just then, Jack joined them, placing his hands on the back of the booth, intrigued. "What are you two plotting over cinnamon rolls?" he teased. David chuckled, "Just connecting over the heart of this diner. Clara's got a real gift, you know." Clara's cheeks burned with pride, but she couldn't shake the feeling that David's presence might lead to something bigger for her and the diner. "Maybe we can help each other," David said, his eyes glinting with possibilities. "What do you mean?" Clara asked, her curiosity piqued. "I've been looking for a project. A way to invest in something real. A place that feels alive, like this diner." Just then, Clara's phone buzzed with another message from her mother, but she was too caught up in the moment to look. Could this be the opportunity she was searching for? Could David truly see the potential in her family's diner? Clara's heart raced, her mind spinning with the possibilities ahead. This chance encounter might just be the key to reconnecting her past with her future, but would it really be so simple? As David leaned forward, his voice steady and inviting, Clara felt a thrill of both hope and uncertainty. "What if we could create something beautiful together?" he asked, sparking a new idea in Clara's mind. Could she really trust in this new possibility, after everything she had faced? Clara's stomach twisted with excitement. She had never considered this diner as anything but a personal haven, a reflection of her roots. But David's gaze held a promising future, filled with ventures she hadn't dared to imagine. "What exactly do you have in mind?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly with curiosity. "I see potential here, something that could resonate beyond just a diner. You could turn this into a community hub, a gathering place for local events or workshops. What if we focused on local ingredients and made it a key part of the identity?" David leaned in closer, his words wrapping around her like a cozy blanket. Ideas whirled in Clara's mind: local farmers showcasing their goods, weekly events featuring live music, or even classes on baking and cooking. "That does sound exciting," she admitted, her enthusiasm bubbling to the surface, "but I've never taken on something this big alone." "You won't be alone," David assured her. "I'll be here to guide and help keep everything afloat. We can make this greener, more inclusive, and a place everyone feels welcome. Imagine bringing people together over food prepared with love. It could be a sanctuary." Clara's pulse quickened. It felt too good to be true, and doubt crept in like a shadow at the edge of her mind. What if it failed? Still, looking at David's passionate expression, she couldn't help but feel inspired. He saw the magic in the place that had often felt like just survival. "You really think we can do this?" she whispered. "Absolutely." His confidence was infectious, lifting her spirits. "We'll create not just meals but experiences. You have a story to tell here, and we'll share it with the world." Jack jumped in, sensing the magic in the air. "I think it's brilliant. You've got the skills," Clara, and this diner has heart. With David's knowledge, you two could make waves. Clara caught the twinkle in Jack's eye, a spark of hope igniting within her. She felt a mix of fear and excitement swirl in her chest. This could be the chance to give her family diner a rebirth, a revitalization that could nourish her community. But, Clara hesitated, what if my mom doesn't agree? She's been very hands-on with this place. I don't want to hurt her feelings. David nodded, understanding the depth of her concern. Let us talk to her together, then. We'll show her the vision. You deserve to chase your dreams, and if she sees how passionate you are about this, she might just come around. Clara felt the weight of her mother's expectations pressing down on her, but David's encouraging words gave her a glimmer of hope. This would be a step toward honoring her family while also creating something entirely new. As they sat in the cozy warmth of the diner, a shared sense of purpose bloomed between them. With every word exchanged and plan formed, Clara's dream began to blossom. But just as she allowed herself to hope, the ding of the diner bell interrupted their moment. The door swung open abruptly, and a familiar face stepped in, her mother, Mary. Clara's heart sank. Would she support this new beginning, or would it all come crashing down? Caught between excitement and fear, Clara exchanged uneasy glances with David and Jack. Could she trust that risk was a part of the journey? As Mary's eyes swept the diner, Clara took a deep breath, preparing to bravely face whatever came next. Mom, Clara started, her voice a mix of determination and trepidation, we need to talk. Mary paused at the door, her brow furrowed as she took in the scene before her. Clara's heart raced, two worlds colliding in that one moment. The diner was filled with a sense of newfound potential, the air thick with hope. But her mother's face was unreadable, a mask of uncertainty. What is going on here? Mary asked, her voice steady but edged with concern. Clara could feel David's presence beside her, a supportive anchor as she stood on this precipice of change. We were talking about the diner, Mom. David has some ideas about how we could expand and make it more than just a place to eat. Mary's gaze flicked to David, assessing him. More than just a diner. Clara, this is a family business. Your grandmother ran it, and I've dedicated my life to keeping it going. Why would we need to change? Clara swallowed hard, her heart battling against her resolve. Because it can be more, Mom. It's been a haven for us, but we can turn it into a hub for the community. Local farmers, events, cooking classes. Her voice wavered, but she pressed on. I want to honor what this place means to us, but I also want to create something that brings people together. Mary's expression softened a fraction, but doubt still lingered in her eyes. That sounds ambitious, Clara. What makes you think people would want that? Because they already do. Jack interjected, his enthusiasm spilling into the conversation. You should see the buzz in town. People love the idea of supporting local. They want community, and Clara has the heart to make it happen. We just need to believe in it. Mary's gaze returned to Clara, searching for the spark of passion hidden under her daughter's uncertainty. And what if it doesn't work? What will happen to this place that has been your family's legacy? Mom, it's not just about preserving a legacy, it's about growing it, Clara replied, her voice gaining strength. What if this is the chance to breathe new life into it? I want to make it something my children can be proud of. I want to share our story. Mary's silence stretched as she processed Clara's words. Clara felt the weight of generations resting upon her shoulders, the fear of change mixed with the hope for something better. After what felt like an eternity, Mary finally spoke. I appreciate your passion, Clara, but I need time to think about this. It's not just about you and what you want. It's about the sacrifices we've made and what this diner represents. The tension in the air was palpable as Clara's heart sank. She had hoped for immediate approval, but now she had only uncertainty. I understand, Mom, she said softly, her heart aching. I just want you to see the potential too. Before Mary could reply, the bell above the door jingled once more. A small group of regulars shuffled in, their chatter filling the diner with everyday life. Clara felt a mix of gratitude and despair at their arrival. It was a reminder of what she hoped to create, but also a barrier between her and the conversation she desperately needed to have with her mother. "Why don't we take a step back?" David suggested gently. "Let us get back to work for today. This isn't going anywhere, and a little time might help us see things more clearly." Reluctantly, Clara nodded, feeling the heaviness linger. Her mind was already racing with thoughts of what to do next. She needed a plan to win her mother's heart and the diner's future over. As she moved to help serve the newcomers, her thoughts swirled with possibilities. What if there was an event that showcased local recipes? Or a night where the community could share their stories? Clara felt that spark begin to flicker again. But could she truly convince her mother? With every plate she served, her heart grew heavier with the weight of uncertainty. Just as she thought she might find a way through, a quiet voice emerged from the corner, a familiar face, an unexpected champion. What would they add to this whirlwind? Clara paused mid-service, her hands steadying on the plate she carried, as she took in the sight of the familiar face sitting at the corner booth. It was Mrs. Henderson, a long-time regular, whose warm smile felt like a soothing balm against her swirling anxiety. Clara had always admired the older woman for her wisdom, and today, she felt an unexpected surge of hope. "Clara! Come sit with me for a moment," Mrs. Henderson called out, her voice like a beacon cutting through the din of the diner. Clara met David's understanding gaze before slipping away from the bustling tables momentarily. As she approached, Mrs. Henderson's eyes sparkled with kindness. "I caught the end of your conversation," she said, her tone gentle yet perceptive. "I think it's fantastic what you're trying to do with the diner." Clara felt her heart flicker. "You really think so?" "My mom isn't so sure. She's worried about what could go wrong." "Of course she is." Mrs. Henderson leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Change can be scary. But it can also be exhilarating. You remember when I first opened my tea shop? Folks thought I was crazy to compete with the established ones. But I followed my heart." Her eyes twinkled, hinting at a story of resilience. "And look where it got me." Clara smiled, her body relaxing slightly. "How did you do it?" she asked, genuinely curious. "Well, I listened to my customers and tailored my offerings to what they wanted. They craved a sense of community, just like you. You have the right idea, Clara. This diner can be the heart of the town, but you have to show everyone what that means. Why don't you host a trial cooking class this weekend?" The idea sparked in Clara's mind like a firework. A cooking class? That could be amazing. We could showcase local farms, and I could even invite Mom to teach some recipes. Mrs. Henderson nodded, a warm smile spreading across her face. "Exactly. Let your mother see that this change doesn't erase our past, it honors it. You're building a bridge from what was to what could be." Clara felt excitement bubbling within her. "I could write up a flyer, set a date, we could turn it into a community event. It would really showcase what we're aiming for." "Do it," Mrs. Henderson encouraged. "Invite those who believe in what you're doing. If there's enough support, it'll be hard for Mary to ignore." Clara's heart raced. What if this was the push they needed to turn her mother's hesitation into enthusiasm? Just then, the bustling diner suddenly felt alive with possibilities. "I could get Jack and David on board. Maybe they can help get the word out," she thought aloud, her eyes lighting up with newfound determination. "What about you? Would you join the class?" Mrs. Henderson chuckled. "Oh dear, I'm more of a sipper than a chef. But I'll spread the word to anyone who'll listen." As Clara returned to her duties, she felt a shift inside her. After the heaviness of earlier, a flicker of joy resided within her. Each plate served found purpose, she was no longer lost in uncertainty. Instead, she began envisioning a potential gathering, alive with laughter and the shared stories of the community over slices of pie. That evening, Clara stayed a little longer after closing, the diner lit only by the soft glow of the neon sign outside. She jotted down ideas for her cooking class, feeling as if the walls themselves whispered encouragement. With David now in the loop, they began to brainstorm together, gelling ideas until they began to form a real plan, but just as she felt the momentum building, a shadow fell across her page. Mary stood at the entrance, her expression serious. Her gaze shifted from Clara's notes to her daughter, wearing a mix of resolve and apprehension. "Clara," she began cautiously, "we need to talk about tonight. I heard some interesting things." Clara's heart thudded painfully in her chest. This was at the moment she had been dreading and yearning for. Could her mother be warming to the idea, or was this a moment of reckoning? The air between them was charged, and the future of the diner hung in the balance. What would Mary reveal? Clara felt her stomach knot, a mix of fear and anticipation swirling within her as she faced her mother. The air seemed thick, every breath drawing out the weight of expectation that hung between them. She took a steadying breath and tried to read her mother's expression. Mary stepped forward, her arms crossing tightly over her chest. "I wasn't sure if I should come in, but I heard things tonight about you, about plans for the diner." Clara's heart sank. This was not the fierce support she'd hoped for. "Mom, I had a conversation with Mrs. Henderson. She thinks a cooking class could bring our community together. It could help us." Mary's lips pressed into a thin line. "And you think that's all this place needs? A fun little event?" There was an edge to her voice. Clara could see the worry etched in her mother's brow, the same worry that had driven much of their previous discussions. "Things have changed. People want connection. We can do that. We can make the diner a hub for the community." Clara pleaded, her voice rising with urgency. "I'm so tired of living in the shadow of what we used to be. Let us embrace what we can become." Mary's eyes softened momentarily, and for the first time, Clara thought she saw a hint of understanding flicker within. "I remember when your grandfather ran this place. He had a vision, but we had to keep expenses down, keep our heads above water. I just don't want you to fail." "You think I'm going to fail?" Clara's voice cracked as disbelief flooded through her. "I'm trying to bring back the heart of this diner. It's not just my restaurant, it's where people connected can be so much more." The silence stretched between them, heavy and fraught. Just as Clara thought her mother might soften further, Mary stepped back, shaking her head slowly as if trying to dispel a gathering storm. "Running a diner isn't sentimental, Clara. It's business. What happens if no one shows up?" With a sudden rush of frustration, Clara blurted, "If you never give them a reason to show up, how will you ever know?" The heat of the moment burned in her cheeks, but she felt a surge of clarity. Her mother paused, astonished by the defiance in her daughter's voice. "Clara, you're not the one who has to keep this place afloat." "I know," Clara whispered, her heart racing. "But I want to try. Just once. Please, trust me on this." Moments passed like hours as Mary stared into Clara's desperate eyes. Why couldn't she see the spark of potential looming just outside their fears? Clara felt a flicker of hope again. If she could just get her mother to listen, even for a moment, they might figure this out together. Finally, Mary sighed, her posture relaxing just slightly. "Okay. Let us say I do trust you. I'll help you with this class, but you need to listen to me. If it flops, we'll have to rethink everything." "Yes. I promise," Clara exclaimed, relief washing over her. "We can advertise properly, we can use every connection we have. I'll put everything into this." Mary smiled softly, although it didn't fully reach her eyes. "All right then, let us get to work. But remember, I'm keeping a close eye." Their confrontation had sparked a new path forward. Ideas whirled through Clara's mind as her mother began to outline plans. Then, amid their discussion, Clara's phone buzzed with a new notification, drawing her attention away from the moment. She pulled it out, glancing at the screen. One of her friends had texted about a local festival coming up. Suddenly, Clara's heart raced again, but not out of fear, rather, a different kind of excitement. What if, she murmured, eyes catching fire, what if we showcased our class at the festival? It could bring in more families. Mary raised an eyebrow, intrigued at the new idea. You really think that would work? Absolutely. But we have to act fast. We need to promote this now. Then let us not waste any time, Mary replied, the resoluteness returning to her voice. Clara felt a flicker of joy as they began sketching plans together for the festival, her heart steadying with each word exchanged. But as they dove into the details, the tingle of uncertainty lingered in the back of Clara's mind. Was this truly the right step forward, or just another attempt at grasping at straws? As their ideas blended together, Clara sensed something lurking in the shadows of possibility. Would this event genuinely unify the town, or divvy them further apart? With every plan set into motion, the stakes were rising. The next few days would be pivotal. Could they rally the support needed to make it a reality? Just then, she remembered the glimmer of support in Mrs. Henderson's eyes. Could that mean their community was ready to step back into the heart of the diner? An excited nervousness surged through her veins as they finalized the plan. But just as they finished, a loud knock echoed through the diner's door. They turned to find Jack standing there, excitement ablaze in his expressive eyes. You won't believe who just stopped by, he declared, grinning. We might have struck gold with that farmer's market connection. Clara's heart raced again. Who could it be? And what would that mean for their plans? Would this lead them closer to their dream, or push them further into the unknown? Clara's heart raced as Jack shared the news. A farmer had shown up, eager to strike a deal for fresh produce and local meats. It felt like the universe was aligning, like support was pouring in just when they needed it most. Let us set up a meeting. Clara blurted out, every ounce of her being buzzing with energy. If we can get him on board, we can push this festival over the edge. Jack nodded, his enthusiasm shining. Absolutely. I'll call him first thing in the morning. As they brainstormed, the diner, with its aged wooden counter and antique photos, suddenly felt like a treasure trove of potential. Clara caught sight of her mother, who had been quietly listening. Mary's eyes glimmered with a mix of pride and uncertainty. Clara found courage. Mom, this is happening. We're giving our community something to believe in again. Mary sighed, weighing her words. I can see your passion, Clara. I really can, but we need to be smart. This isn't just about throwing a festival. I know that, Clara replied, her voice steady. But if we show them our vision, if they taste the goodness of our food and see the heart of this diner, they'll want to be part of it. We can't let fear hold us back. Mary looked at her daughter, and for the first time in a long while, Clara noticed a flicker of hope spark somewhere beneath her mother's hesitance. All right, Mary finally said, her voice firm yet warm. Let us do this together. In the days leading to the festival, they rallied support local farmers, friends, and family. Clara felt a transformation in her bones, a lightness she hadn't felt in ages. The diner became a hive of activity, laughter echoing as they decorated and organized. Then came the day of the festival. Clara stood outside the diner, taking a moment to breathe in the scent of fresh flowers and good food. The sun cascaded golden light over the bustling community, and for a fleeting moment, everything felt right. The crowd gathered, drawn by the aroma of cinnamon rolls and fresh-baked bread. Clara's eyes widened in disbelief as familiar faces from all over town filled the space, the skeptical ones, the quiet supporters, all eager for connection. Are you ready? Jack asked, a grin etched on his face. More than ever, Clara answered, feeling her heart swell like the rising dough behind her. They unveiled the cooking class among laughter and applause, Clara leading with energy and enthusiasm. The food stories flowed, showcasing how every flavor and ingredient was interconnected to families, to memories, to the heartbeat of the town. As Clara stood in front of the crowd, she spotted her mom in the corner, engaged in conversation with Mrs. Henderson. A memory flickered, her mother baking as Clara watched, a sense of belonging wrapped around them both. Clara smiled, a newfound bond forming in the air. "All right, everyone. We're here not just to cook but to connect," Clara announced. "Let this be a celebration of who we are as a community. Together, we can create something beautiful." After a day filled with cooking and mingling, Clara felt an incredible wave wash over her. Families gathered as they shared the meals made by their very own hands, stories queuing like laughter, echoes of joy radiating through the diner. As the sun set, Clara stepped back, watching the community engage, feeling joy bubble in her throat. Jack leaned against the counter beside her, a smile lighting up his face. "I'd say it's a success," he said, taking in the warmth of the laughter and chatter. "It is," Clara replied, her heart brimming with gratitude. "We did this together." Suddenly, her mother approached, her expression softer than Clara had seen in a long time. "I watched you today, Clara," Mary said, her voice trembling slightly. "You brought everyone together. I'm proud of you." Tears threatened to spill, but Clara steadied herself. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom." Mary smiled, reaching out to touch her arm. "Let us keep it going. I see how much this means to you now." Clara felt her heart expand, embracing a world that had once felt so full of uncertainty. She knew that change could be slow and filled with challenges, but today they had planted seeds of hope. As the stars twinkled above the diner, Clara embraced those who filled her life with love and laughter. She had taken the leap, and in doing so, had not only transformed the diner but had begun a journey of overcoming the shadows of her past. This was only the beginning. Now, more than ever, was the time for connection. Clara glanced at Jack and David, excited chatter buzzing around them, ready to dream bigger. "Tomorrow, we plant more seeds," she whispered, determination taking root inside her. "This diner is just getting started." And as Clara stood there, surrounded by her community, she knew this was not just the revival of a diner but the rekindling of hope, a story woven through food, laughter, and a little bit of magic. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let it soar. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.